I saw on Facebook recently that a mother had posted an image of her daughter looking at the passenger side of a car. The girl was maybe 14, 15 years old. Her fair hair was obviously meticulously styled, and she had blue eyes, perfect skin, high cheekbones by the generally accepted standards of the world. And I have to say that because the world has its opinion, which is considerably more narrow than mine. By the world standards, she would easily have qualified as beautiful. I observed further that her smile was completely artificial, more accurately, absent. In fact, her photo could have easily been used to illustrate the words, if you were doing an illustrated dictionary, pouting, or entitled, or just unhappy. This girl was clearly not a happy kid, obvious as can be. Not subtle. In fact, if I were directing an actress in a movie to demonstrate pouting, entitlement, or unhappiness, I would simply show her this picture and say, do that. The mother mentioned in her post, the one that I'm talking about, the pouting, beautiful, fair-haired child, that her daughter had been crying because she was not pretty. So then, in support of the Facebook post that the mom put up there, so she puts up a picture of her daughter and says, oh, my poor baby is saying she's not pretty. Then there were over 170 comments. Now, that's within just a few hours. Who knows how many there were after that. Comments that expressed statements like, oh no, she's gorgeous, or stunning, or beautiful, or blah, blah. You get the picture. Those 170 comments were clearly a waterfall of praise as a form of imitation love, however unintentionally they might have been given. In the picture, the girl proved with her facial expression that she did not feel unconditionally loved. So she felt empty and worthless. But she didn't even know what that would feel like. That wasn't one of her choices. So she focused on what did make her feel worthwhile, however temporarily, her physical appearance. When that feeling wore off, as it always does, she focused on how she was not pretty enough. Oh, you can always be more beautiful. Holy smokes. I've counseled with cosmopolitan cover models, and they're never skinny enough, pretty enough. There's always something wrong. Physical beauty will always betray you. And she honestly believed that if she had enough physical beauty, then she would be truly happy. And the attitudes of society, as portrayed in magazines, movies, and more, would certainly confirm her belief. For her, being praised for beauty was the closest thing she could hope for to make herself feel worthwhile and lovable. She'd never seen or felt unconditional love, ever. So, of course, she yearned for comments about her beauty as an obvious substitute, even though it's really superficial. If you don't have enough real love, then every morsel of imitation love becomes very important. So you grasp for them, you beg for them, you work frenetically for them. This kid obviously looks at herself in the mirror all day. And even though she is physically attractive, all she sees is that she's deficient, needs more of this here, too fat, too blonde, not blonde enough, whatever, having no idea what she really needs. Her assessment of her beauty is actually harmful because how can she improve it? She's got what she's got. She can't get a new body. She's worked diligently on her appearance. You could tell from the photo, really put some effort into it, and it still doesn't make her happy. So she obsesses about it and complains to herself and other people that she's miserable because she isn't sufficiently physically attractive. She is well and truly stuck. Her mother's post on Facebook, disaster, was begging for more imitation love for the daughter. You can bet she showed the picture and everybody's likes and comments and all that stuff. You can bet she showed them to her daughter. And vicariously, she did it for herself. so that mom could have a beautiful daughter. Imitation Love festival going on here. And the daughter sees it all happening right in front of her eyes, further confirming this awful lie that if she's praised for her beauty enough, she'll be happy. So what's the overall effect of this imitation love carnival? 1, the daughter becomes essentially, and I don't use the word lightly, a prostitute. I don't mean that to be offensive, just descriptive, true. A prostitute sells herself for money. And this young lady is selling herself actively as hard as she can, body and soul, for every piece of praise she can get. No, she's not paid in dollars, but she's sure is paid in praise. She's selling her body. She talks about her body all the time, so that she's selling her body so that people will like her. How do you think that's going to escalate over time? She'll be having eventually sex with everybody who's interested, if she's not already, and sinking deeper into despair as she discovers that it's never lasts. It's also never enough. I've counseled magazine cover models, and I assure you that they all describe the tremendous work involved to achieve the expected appearance. It's a lot of effort, and it's never done. And they can't ever let down. Then they're always trying to look better. But none of it ever makes them happy. 2, her mother is actually encouraging this, making it nearly impossible for the daughter to see her appearance as anything but her salvation. 3rd effect of this imitation festival. With her appeal for public approval, mom is also trying to rescue her daughter, trying to make her feel better about herself, so that the girl feels even more entitled to require other people to make her happy. She's setting up a pattern of behavior that never ends well. Mother becomes even more invalidated, this is 4, as a potential source of real love to the daughter, because she's telling her daughter that imitation love is the way to go. Mother is weak and worldly, essentially the daughter's pimp. And the daughter is watching all this imitation love commerce, and I assure you it is commerce, and she's accepting it all as normal, even commendable. 5, mother gets 170 people at the moment that I saw it. Who knows how many it ended up being. 170 people say that her daughter is beautiful, but the girl is still miserable. So now look at the daughter's situation. She's utterly trapped in a cycle of looking for praise all of her life, finding it, she's got 170 comments, feeling briefly flattered, then falling flat on her face with the realization that she's still not happy. Then what does she have to do? Oh, well, now she's got to have plastic surgery, Botox injections, more sex, more men, more looks, more praise, more likes, and on to get those brief moments of praise that never satisfy. 6, daughter will focus on her appearance and the praise she gets from it instead of, you can't do 2 things simultaneously equally well. So she's going to focus on her appearance instead of things like, education, kindness, responsibility. I know these people who focus on this particular attribute. It's all they have time to do. And they become completely self-absorbed. They don't develop themselves as useful human beings in any way. And the same is going to be true with this girl. She's not going to focus on education, kindness, and responsibility. She's going to be so preoccupied that she will be intolerable in relationships. She'll end up alone and old and miserable. And the physical appearance is going to be gone. Eventually, she won't be able to fake it anymore. I wish I were exaggerating with all this horrifying list, but I've seen it too many times. Our society has valued physical beauty to be such an essential quality that not to have it is to be considered marginally worthwhile and basically unlovable. The reward for beauty is praise, and this praise is almost always the highest stature a person can achieve. Because of this setup, we basically have to find something physically beautiful in everyone and comment on it when we see them. It's a commerce, it's a business, it's a trading. Gosh, you really look nice today. So do you. You've all heard that thousands of times. Oh, nice hair. Is that a new outfit? Blah, 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 blah. And we engage in these conversations about quite literally nothing. If we can't find something to comment on, we fake it. I've watched this enough embarrassing times. People will say, there's something different about you. I can't quite put my finger on it. And then the other person has to come up with something to justify some kind of praise. Oh yeah, I recently had my hair cut. Oh, that looks great. My lipstick is different. Whatever. We trade in these comments, which dilutes the beautiful comments to kind of meaninglessness. The 170 comments on Facebook were meant to be supportive of the girl. I get that her mother meant to do well, even though it's mostly a superficial social convention. But all they're doing is enabling her need for and addiction to praise. Somebody who saw this post, I wasn't on Facebook looking for posts. Somebody sent me this post and said, would people be better to respond something about how she's focusing on the wrong things or how she needs to be unconditionally loved? While you're right that she does need to be focusing on other things and getting unconditional love, on Facebook, praise is, to use an old phrase, the coin of the realm. It's the currency. That's what you go on Facebook for, is to get praised or politically to attack somebody. So that's what people exchange in that environment. So no, not on Facebook would you say such a thing. Everybody's there to be entertained, to be praised, or to attack somebody. So you bringing up out of the blue, you weren't asked for you to bring up real love. No. If you said anything to contradict the praise train, you would be vilified as uncaring, probably shot as a heretic, and nobody would understand you anyway. If you were talking to the mother in person and the mother asked you about her daughter's anxiety and about the whole obsession of appearance, that her daughter has, then maybe you could try to teach her something about what really matters, but not on Facebook, unless you want a whole lot of people hating you, and it's not going to help anyway. It was a man who sent me the post, and he said, I have my own bias toward physical beauty in women. I admit it, he said, but I'm honest about it, and I feel bad about how much I value it. It just doesn't seem fair that we judge somebody based on something that they really can't control in large measure. I'm sharing this, the man says, because I'm interested in your perspective on how much our society is obsessed with beauty. No kidding. Insanely obsessed. It's stupid. You can be sure that mom is utterly preoccupied with beauty too, and you can be sure that her daughter is watching her be obsessed with beauty. The man responded, in a world where real love is the norm, would physical attractiveness just be a normal characteristic, like saying somebody is X feet or centimeters tall, or so-and-so has brown hair? Yes, it would mean little more than that. It's irrelevant. When it comes to things that matter, nobody really cares. Think of the people who are nearly universally regarded in history as great, as having made positive contributions to our lives. Gandhi, Churchill, Einstein, Lincoln, Marie Curie, Rosa Parks, Rachel Carson, Golda Meir, and on and on. Notice that's both men and women. Look at the people who've made a difference in something that matters. Which of them was physically beautiful? Now, listen slowly, because we really convict ourselves with this. Of all those people I just listed, found on everybody's list of making a difference, most influential people in history, not one of them would have been considered for a quarter second as being on the model of Vogue or Cosmopolitan or any magazine that was selling beauty. None of them. In fact, being beautiful is enormously distracting. The praise that you get for being beautiful would strongly motivate you to go down that particular road of trading. If everybody goes, oh, wow, you're so beautiful, what do? You work at being beautiful or showing it off. And that would mean, if you're focused on that you would tend to study less, work less, and accomplish less because you're far too busy trading your appearance with people. That is a fact. You can't have both. To the point that a worldly beautiful, model beautiful neurosurgeon or lawyer or mechanical engineer is freakish to the point of almost unheard of. The man wrote to me and said, with real love, would we even consider how much someone is beautiful or how attracted we are to them when choosing a mate? Very little. One day out of the blue, I asked myself if my relationship would change with Donna if she were a completely different height, weight, race, everything. No. Now, is it okay to be physically attracted to your partner? Sure. There are parameters that, for example, I required that my partner be a woman. So yeah, there were limits, but it matters so little. In a perfectly loving world, we simply would not praise physical beauty. We just wouldn't do it. Like praising somebody for being tall. It wouldn't make sense. Imagine that today I make an observation that you have a gorgeous fifth metacarpal. Even as I say it, you're going, what is he talking about? What's the fifth bone on your hand? Now, you might have an unusually gorgeous fifth metacarpal, but what in the world does that have to do with who you really are? Nothing. And the fact that the metacarpal reference is absurd points out, actually it convicts us, that what we're really focused on, it points out what we are focused on when we say somebody is beautiful. We're not referring to their architectural beauty, the beauty of their physical engineering or their organic chemistry. No, it's all about sexual attraction. That's what people mean when they say beautiful. That's what they mean. We're pretty shallow and narrow-minded. That's all. I'm not telling anybody not to either. I'm just pointing out that it really distracts us. It's a very important concept for us to consider when we think of someone as being beautiful, or especially when we say something about it.